Good morning, everyone. Good morning, Kaiser and Reindeer and Sal. I hope everyone is having a good morning. And I figured I'd do my story time at the end so I wouldn't have to retell it because I'm pretty sure I'm going to get a call from the school. And look, I try my best. I really do. But parenting and what you say to your children and what they hear and then say back out, it's not the same. It's a broken game of telephone, and we will get to that. But first news, yeah, Fry is asleep. Look, I said I was going to film his bath yesterday, but it went to heck. I tried the peanut butter thing, but he just started crying and shaking. So it was all I could do to keep him in the bathtub, get the soap off him relatively in theory, rinse him off, and then him looking at me like, "I will never trust you again. Oh, wait, you have a treat? I will still keep this in my mind again," for about 5 seconds. So, it was not the greatest experience. Yeah, it was absolutely insanity, but, he got a bath and he no longer has mystery stains all over him. The first story, we have at least a conclusion. Yeah, we have at least a conclusion to what was a very sad story that was brought to us by Nicholas yesterday of the, Hello, Making Law Simple and Rabbit. I know. Well, I figured I'd do that story towards the end or maybe the middle, but when we have more people, so that I don't have to tell it over and over again. Because 'cause I'm pretty sure I'm gonna get a call from our very Christian school, and I don't wanna have to tell the story over and over again. But our first story, suspected Brussels terrorist shot and killed by police after massive manhunt. Police in Belgium have fatally shot the suspected terrorist accused of killing two Swedish soccer fans in a rampage shooting on Brussels Street on Monday, triggering a nationwide manhunt, according to reports. Good morning, AC's Wildflowers. Quote, we have good news that we found the individual, Interiors Ministers Annelies Venderleyen told VRT Radio Tuesday. Venderleyen said, quote, "The weapon with which the attacks were committed has been found this morning where the man was apprehended. That makes the likelihood that the perpetrator has been caught bigger." Police allegedly shot the suspect in Schaderbeek neighborhood or Shaderbeek, close to where the rampage had taken place. Vanderleyen said authorities are still verifying if the man is the suspected terrorist gunman. We are checking fingerprints to be 100% sure, Vanderleyen said. Good morning, Jamie. So that's the suspect that they believe did this. Uh, Quote, "It seems indeed that the suspect has been neutralized," Brussels Mayor Philippe Clos told BFM TV. "There are strong presumptions but no certainties that the man was the shooter responsible for Monday's shooting," the federal prosecutor's office told the Associated Press. Uh, the 45-year-old Tuscan suspected gunman was also wounded a third Swedish citizen during the attack, leaving the nation on high alert. Belgium has raised security status of its capital to the highest level following the incident and warned the public to be extra vigilant and avoid unnecessary travel. Hello, Kim. Yes, we shall hopefully. In weird things happening in Georgia still, we have police video challenges Clayton County commissioner's drugging allegations. The vice chair of Clayton County Board of Commissioners claims she was drugged while out at a bar, but police say there is no evidence that ever happened. Surveillance video shows vice chair on Friday, September 29th, apparently passed out on the ground. Commissioner Felicia Franklin posts on her Facebook page, I quote, "It is believed by medical professionals that I was drugged with gamma hydroxybutyrate GHB pill, more commonly known as the date grape pill, and this incident has shaken me to my core. The Merrill police tell a different story. We have found no evidence to support the fact that she was drugged with GHB, said Sergeant Scott Stewart. Police shared surveillance and camera footage. Videos showed Franklin walking alone into the 404 Sports Bar and Grill. Police say Franklin ordered several drinks. She probably had 3.5 to 4 drinks, then a swig of beer, Stewart said. Investigators say they could not find evidence of anyone tampering with her drinks, but a toxicology report found something else in her system. She refused a blood test, but she did have a urinalysis, and it showed positive for cannabinoids, also known as cannabis. Now, since we are all good people, we have no idea what that is, and you'll have to, Doctor Google that to know what it is, Stewart said. The video shows Franklin walking out of the bar and sitting on a bench. She was apparently intoxicated, Stewart said. Yeah, so she's just taking an old concrete nap, as you do. I mean, you go to a bar, you just take a nap on the sidewalk, as you do. She slumped off the bench moments later. Police turned around and saw her lying on the ground, Stewart said. It was shocking. Police say the vice chair was lying in a puddle of clear liquid. Police report indicates that she had appeared to have urinated on herself. Emergency crews pulled up or put her on a stretcher. Franklin grew visibly irritated, then she vomited. Despite the differing narratives, police say there's no evidence that Franklin intentionally tried to mislead them. In her mind, something could have happened, Stewart said. Fox 5 tried to contact Franklin several times regarding the incident. As of Monday evening, she has not responded. The sports bar has posted the following statement on Facebook. Quote, "We assure you that safety and well-being of our patrons has always been and will continue to be our top priority. The recent police investigation was an unfortunate and unforeseen event. We are grateful for the swift response and thorough investigation conducted by the authorities, and we are pleased to inform you that the matter has been resolved." The next Clayton County Board of Commissioners meeting is being held Tuesday at 6:30 in Jonesboro. It's not a lie if you believe it hard enough. Clap your wings, and at the end of this, Tinkerbell will get her wings. You know? Good morning, crime spies. Let's see. Appeals court rejects damages for a woman whose home was, quote, destroyed by a SWAT team chasing a man holding a 15-year-old girl hostage. Yeah, SWAT's not going to pay for that, ma'am. A woman who won a court battle to get a Texas city to pay her nearly $60,000 damages to her home caused by a SWAT team hunting an armed fugitive holding a 15-year-old girl hostage has been dealt a legal setback as a federal court appeals a court reversing the ruling. In a decision on Wednesday, the Fifth U.S. Circuit Court of Appeal said the police did what was necessary to resolve the emergency July 2020 when officers leveled a fence with an armored vehicle and busted down doors using explosives and threw tear gas grenades through the windows of Vicky Baker's home that was set up for sale in McKinley, a Dallas suburb. Oh, no. Well, wait for just a couple more stories, and then you get to hear how I'm probably gonna get a call from the school. So, I'm sorry. Parenting is why don't they give us pads and helmets at the hospital? I feel like we need those and a lifetime supply of dry erasers. I'm sorry, Kaiser. Yes, I will be on the Jody stream today, which reminds me, I completely forgot I said yes to that, so I need to change my Boy in the Box stream. That'll be happening after that. So, don't quote me on the Boy in the Box. I will be on Jody, so do I will be doing Jody today. My husband will be so proud. In a decision on Wednesday, yeah, so basically, this woman is screwed. The government did what it had to do. The raid left her home in shambles, prompting a prospective home buyer to walk out or to walk away, and the city refused to pay Baker. So she filed a lawsuit in March 2021 in federal court alleging a violation of takings clause in the Fifth Amendment to the US Constitution, which says that private property shall not be taken for public use without just compensation, and she won. Oh, well, that's good. So it's just stevia stuff. Uh, Sal, I'm just your eviler twin. I don't want her. I just want to learn from her. A judge ruled that the city's destruction of Baker's home was a taking and the damage was intentional and foreseeable, and so the city must pay a just compensation. But the city appealed. In a ruling on Wednesday, the Fifth U.S. Circuit Court of Appeals concluded that the clause does not require compensation for damaged property when it was, quote, objectively necessary for officers to damage or destroy that property in an act of emergency to prevent imminent harm to persons. Quote, Baker has maintained that the officer's actions were precisely that, necessary in light of an act of emergency to prevent imminent harm to the child or to the hostage child, to the officers who responded to the scene, and to the others in her residential community, the ruling said. Accordingly, and despite our sympathy for Miss Baker, on whom misfortune fell at no fault of her own, we reverse. Her attorney, Jeffrey Redfern, with the nonprofit interest law firm Institute for Justice, said in an email to Law and Crime that he would file a petition the next 2 weeks asking the Fifth Circuit to rehear the case. He said the panel decided the case on the basis not argued without the benefit of briefing and got the question wrong. Quote, the Fifth Circuit rejected every argument offered by the city of McKinney, but nevertheless ruled against Vicky Baker on a ground that it had never been presented to the court and which we never had the opportunity to address, he said. Had the issue actually been raised, we would have demonstrated that the court's, quote, necessity exception to the takings clause is foreclosed by both history and precedent. The Supreme Court has just recently reminded the Court of Appeals that their task is not to come up with arguments the parties should have made, but to decide about the ones they did make. Quote, nevertheless, the good news for Vicky Baker is that she also prevailed under the Texas Constitution, and this ruling has no impact on that grounds. One way or another, the city of McKinney is going to have to compensate her. Redfern said that the city will have to compensate her because she prevailed in the trial court under both the U.S. and Texas constitutions. When you win a case in Texas under multiple grounds, you have to elect which one you want the court to enter the judgment under, he said. And the only issue that the losing party can appeal, and that's the only issue the losing party can appeal. So we chose the U.S. Constitution. The city appealed. The panel reversed, but we still have to win. We still have a win below the Texas Constitution. If our rehearing petition and possible cert petition to the Supreme Court is denied, then the case goes back down and the court just re-enters the judgment under the Texas Constitution. He said the city could appeal that judgment, but it would have essentially zero chance of prevailing because the Texas Supreme Court has already held that intentional destruction by police is taking under the state constitution. Quote, the Fifth Circuit would have no choice but to follow the Texas Supreme Court's interpretation of state law, he said. A media representative for the city of McKinney said in a statement that the city is pleased with the decision. Quote, the ruling upholds a longstanding legal precedent which protects McKinney taxpayers from having to pay property damages arising from lawful police actions. The statement said the court found that the McKinney police did everything proper in the Baker case. This drama began on July 25th, 2020, when the Baker's adult daughter, who was at home while Baker was away, was notified authorities that a fugitive who had done handyman work at the house but had been fired was holding a runaway girl hostage in the Baker's house. Police arrived and a standoff ensued. Officers used an armored vehicle to knock down the home's fence and smashed doors and shattered windows with tear gas canisters. Police set up a perimeter and engaged in loud hailing using an intercom system. Soon after, the fugitive released the girl who came out of the house. She told police that the fugitive was in the ceiling. There were a lot of guns, some pistols, and he was obviously high on method acting. The fugitive communicated to the police that he had, quote, terminal cancer. He wasn't going back to prison. He knew he was going to die and was going to shoot it out with police. Police used their arsenal, including toxic gas grenades, and watched the scene via a hovering drone. After a time, the drone reached a point where it could spot the fugitive who had taken his own life, the court document said. The police operation was deemed successful and the damage deemed necessary to resolve the emergency. But the explosion left Baker's dog permanently blind and deaf. A hazmat remediation team needed to be called in to clean the toxic gases from the home, and ceiling fans, plumbing, floors, bricks need to be replaced. Essentially, all of the personal property in the house was destroyed, including an antique dog collection left to Baker by her mother, court documents said. So, yeah, basically the state can do whatever it wants. if and they and always the doggos. Look, it's not good. Worst mother, ever. I don't know why we keep getting these moms. And Fry has gone back to his favorite sleeping position, melting out of the bed. California mom who threw sick sex parties for teen son searched online for, quote, hot 16-year-old teenage girls. Court docs. What is wrong with people? And I see nothing wrong with this picture. People need to chill out. Look, kids are dirties. Dogs are dirty. Just let the puppos have a swing. No one, no one, and no one. The California mom accused of hosting depraved smexy parties for her teen son conducted disturbing online searches for hot 16-year-old teenage girls and downloaded images of scantily dressed young teens, new report says. Shannon O'Connor made the steamy Google lookups for prurient youth content on her cell phone, which was confiscated after she was busted in 2021 for throwing the booze-filled teen sex bashes. The so-called party mom, who has court hearing next month, threw the sick shindigs for her 15-year-old son's friends and classmates at Los Gatos High School in Los Gatos, California, during which kids could be plied with alcohol until some vomited and others were sexually abused while O'Connor watched and laughed, according to court documents. What is wrong with these people? Ma'am. A new report from KRON4 News said O'Connor's cell phone contained evidence of her Google searches for things that included good books with young sex, in quotes, along with several videos of undressed underage girls, including TikTok. What in the what in the MILF manner is this going on? I thought that no. Quote, these videos show young girls who appear to be underage. They are dressed in revealing clothing. There is no evidence that the girls in these videos are personally known to the defendant, according to the documents cited by KRON4. The suspect allegedly lured the girls to her home by hosting parties and, quote, facilitated sexual encounters, some consensual and some non-consensuals. Prosecutors reportedly wrote. Victims reported that O'Connor watched as they were sexually assaulted. Quote, evidence admitted at preliminary hearing will show that offenses alleged above were committed by the defendant as a result of sexual compulsion for the purpose of sexual gratification, Deputy District Attorney Rebecca Wise wrote. and news outlet reported. O'Connor, quote, helped minors sneak out of their homes in the middle of the night without their parents' knowledge. She would communicate via Snapchat or text message, pick them up, drive them to her home, according to Wise. Is she trying to relive her teenness? I have no idea what is going on. Quote, she got these children under her care so drunk that many children would vomit, be unable to stand, and even lose consciousness. She urged them to engage in smexy activities with each other, the prosecutor added. What is wrong with you, ma'am? Connor was, quote, very opinionated about girls who were allowed to attend her parties, according to prosecutors. Quote, she would reject girls as guests by saying they weren't, quote, pretty enough or didn't put out, the state documents obtained by KRON4. Connor also allegedly let minors drive her SUV in the school parking lot. I mean, anything else, ma'am, that you let these minors do? I mean, why not? For the love of During a night of drinking with O'Connor and some teens in December 2020, a boy was knocked unconscious and suffered a concussion after he fell from the back of an SUV. O'Connor told the police, uh, called by a stand or bystander, that she would take the teens home and then search for what to do for a concussion in a teenager and cracked skull, KRON4 reported. O'Connor's husband, Robert Amaral, was completely unaware of his wife's alleged activities, officials said, and reportedly filed for divorce earlier this year. Quote, this woman tore my life apart. I have suffered and had to deal with reputation of being, quote, the girl that got graped. I will live my high school years with that cloud over me, one girl told a judge in a court hearing in April, the outlet reported. Quote, Shannon doesn't have a conscience. She's a con artist. I will never have the life I once have, and neither should she, an alleged victim added. O'Connor moved with her sons to Eagle, Ohio when she learned that the Los Gatos police had begun investigating her in 2021. She reportedly Googled questions about the statute of limitation and law against providing minors with alcohol and out-of-state prosecutions, KRON4 reported, citing court records. When O'Connor was arrested in Idaho, October 2021, police said they found her in the home with 12 underage teens who had just slept over the night before, the outlet reported. Her attorneys will likely argue that she believed sexual contact between the teens was consensual, the documents state. Quote, in order to combat this argument, it is necessary to put out on evidence of how many times the defendant saw children being sexually abused and continued to encourage the assaults, Wise reportedly wrote. O'Connor, who was attacked by fellow inmates in October 2022, faces charges including the endangering the health of a child, sexual battery, annoying or molesting a child endangerment, furnishing alcohol to a person under 21. The mom, who has a November 6th preliminary hearing, has pleaded not guilty to 39 charges, including felony child endangerment, sexual battery, filed by Santa Clara County District Attorney's Office. So, how in the world did she remain? How did she keep custody of the kids? And she was able to. The dad divorces her, and they're like, well, she's got, all of these felonies that are following her, but the mom's the better parent. So, dad, you get partial custody. I don't get it. Why doesn't the dad have custody? I don't know. In other news, an illicit affair helps police crack an old murder case of a nurse killed 37 years ago. Okay, and warning, this story has graphic details that were released with family's permission. So, Tampa, Florida. Investigators in Florida say they have solved the 1986 cold case murder of a nurse after nearly 37 years, thanks to an illicit affair by a relative of the suspected killer. On October 27th, 86, good lord. The mother of Teresa Lee Scaff, Betty Scaff, found her daughter dead in her Lakeland home. The victim's family said her mother had to break into the residence with a credit card after the hospital told her Teresa didn't show up for work. Quote, I think she was killed around 3:30 in the afternoon, and by the time I got there, it was 8 or 9 o'clock at night. All the evidence had been washed away by the rain, Betty Scaff said. The Polk County Sheriff's Office said Teresa Scaff's throat had been slit and she had defensive wounds on her hands. Detective Matt Newbold said that there was no sign of forced entry before the victim's mother got there. Quote, he'd cut her head almost off. Sheriff Grady Judd said. After years of investigation, detectives identified the murder suspect as Donald Douglas, who lived behind Scaff at the time of her murder. They said the murder was sexually motivated. The 29-year-old nurse who worked at what is now Lakeland Regional Health Medical Center lived alone with her 8-year-old son at her apartment. However, the child was at his grandmother's home at the time, deputies said. Scaff's family described her as a loving, kind person. Quote, she used to cry when she had to stick babies for blood, and she cried when teenagers came in after car wrecks, Teresa's sister Lynn Scaff said. She liked working ICU because she could provide comfort. Her sister, Pam Shade, who is also a nurse, said she got her family into healthcare. Sadly, Teresa had only become a registered nurse 1 month before her murder, according to her sister. Quote, our family didn't deserve this, Shade said. Detectives found 2 blood samples, one belonging to Scaff, but without proper technology, there was no way to identify who murdered her. When this occurred in 1986, there was no DNA genealogy, Judge said. The sheriff said in 2000s, the Polk County Sheriff's Office put the unknown blood sample into the Combined DNA Index System, or CODIS, but there was no result. Now that's a face. Detectives talked to Donald at the time of the event as they were doing neighborhood canvasses, but there was nothing at all out of the ordinary, he said. In 2022, the sheriff's office teamed up with Othram Inc., a DNA genealogy company that works with law enforcement agencies. Othram analyzed the blood sample and narrowed down the scope of the search to distant relatives of the suspect, and the sheriff's office said in a press release. Investigators looked for a DNA match through genealogies and family histories, which eventually led them to the suspect's third cousin, who had a child outside her marriage in 1949, the Miami Herald reported. The affair pointed them to a new line of the family tree, the newspaper explained. From there, investigators were able to trace the suspect's son. When we are able to work the genealogy up into the modern era, Matt met with Douglas's son and said, we'd like a blood sample. We're working on a murder investigation, Judd said. The son of Donald Douglas was totally cooperative and was in horrible shock. His dad, and here's the key to it, had never, ever been arrested ever. The sheriff said Douglas's son never thought his father would ever murder anyone. However, his DNA did match the blood samples found at the scene. The result of the genetic analysis of the DNA confirmed that the blood found at the murder scene did belong to Donald Douglas because the DNA profiled indicated a 100% confidence of parent-child biological relationship compared to Douglas's son's DNA profile. So, you guys, I'm just saying, stop giving these companies your DNA. The government will, in fact, use it. Dale Gribbles have been telling you, we have been telling you guys this the entire time, that these companies, which it's a good thing they found these killers, but the government is definitely going to be taking these ancestry and DNA sites and using them to solve cold cases. According to Lynn Scaff, Teresa did tell her sisters that she had a creepy neighbor who was stalkerish, but never described him. If you're getting a creepy vibe, don't just tell your sisters this creepy neighbor is doing weird things, she said. Give a description. If we had a description the sheriff just showed you, that would have narrowed it down. Large man, scruffy, 30-ish. Think of that what that would have done to the potential pool of suspects. Douglas was 33 at the time of the murder, but died at the age of 54 of natural causes in 2008, the sheriff's office said. Detectives said Douglas's body was cremated. Teresa Scaff's family thanked law enforcement for their dedication to solving her murder. "I'm 84 years old," Betty Scaff said. "I've lived to see this done. I think that's why I live so long." And good morning, Bobby, and this way up, good afternoon. So, you know, I am glad that this family got closure, even if they didn't get, the worldly justice that they deserved because this man passed away. I think he might be somewhere hot. It's just in, people I don't know, but they're famous for some reason. Tekashi 6ix9ine arrested in the Dominican Republic accused of assault. Rapper Tekashi 6ix9ine was arrested Sunday in the Dominican Republic after he was accused of beating up music producers, TMZ reports. Good morning, Debbie W. I don't know what time it is there, I'm guessing early. The outlet claims Dominican Republic police took Tekashi, 27, into custody at the Hotel, Balcons de Atlantico in Sanchez. The Post has contacted reps for the Brooklyn-born rapper for comment. An attorney for Tekashi, whose legal name is Daniel Hernandez, told the Dominican newspaper Diario Libere that the Mala hitmaker surrendered himself voluntarily. A warrant has been issued for his arrest. Well, I mean, he's very colorful. I don't think you'd miss him. He looks like a box of crayons or Skittles. I don't know. I kind of like it. He does look like a box of Skittles just exploded. And I don't know the gentleman's, I don't listen to his music, but he does look like a box of exploded Skittles. Me either. I've never gotten a tattoo. Yeah, I thought he was in prison for a murder thing, but I guess look, being uninformed about the rap game, thought he I guess he wasn't one of the several rappers that was on a murder charge. I don't look, I'm not making generalization, but I thought that he was part of a criminal trial, but I don't keep up with music very much. Oh, they did? Okay. Well, I thought he was in prison for something. Thank you, Bobby. I thought I was having a fever dream. That helps. He is accused of attacking 2 producers with 5 other men at a studio early Friday morning. The dispute allegedly stemmed from jealousy over the producers spending time with Tekashi's new girlfriend, Yalin, per TMZ. The arrest adds to Tekashi's growing list of legal trouble. He spent nearly 2 years in federal lockup for racketeering, receiving a reduced sentence after testifying against 9 Trey Gangsta Blood gang. Yeah, I'm very hip to all I knew exactly who these people were in 2019, so he snitched. Well, no wonder. See, he just looks like a box of crayons that exploded, and I don't know, but I'm here for it. I mean, it's probably not good on his hair, but, he pleaded guilty to a felony count of use of a child in a what in the actual snarfles? The incident involved physical contact with a 13-year-old girl. A mumble rapper? Oh, well, sir, I enjoy your very colorful appearance, but I don't think anything beyond that we're gonna have any sort of we're not going to be able to parlay on a personal level. I'm sorry. And then in our final story, and then we'll have our story time because it's so doozy. Suspect in Natalie Holloway's disappearance to reveal details of her death in plea deal. English is hard. What is wrong with me? Lawyer says. Jordan Vandersloot is expected to plead guilty to his involvement in an extortion plot connected to Natalie Holloway's disappearance, her family lawyer said in a deal that would require him to reveal how the Alabama teen died. The plea agreement, was conditioned upon Mr. Vandersloot revealing the details of how Natalie died and how her body was disposed of, the family lawyer John Q. Kelly told NBC News on Sunday. Neither a lawyer for Vandersloot nor federal prosecutors could immediately be reached for comment Monday. Uh, Holloway disappeared on vacation in Aruba with classmates celebrating their high school graduation in 2005. An Alabama probate court declared her dead in 2012. Vandersloot, a Dutch national, has long been considered a suspect in Holloway's presumed slaying, and a federal grand jury indicted him in 2010 on 2 counts of wire fraud and extortion. He was extradited to the U.S. in June to face allegations that he demanded $250,000 from her family in exchange for information about her disappearance. Court records show that he was scheduled for a plea and sentencing hearing Wednesday before U.S. District Judge Ann Manisco in Birmingham, Alabama, but it was suddenly rescheduled, which most likely means he and the government have reached a plea deal to avoid a trial. It is not clear what charges he would plead to. Vandersloot was already in custody in Peru after he was convicted of killing a Peruvian college student, Stephanie Flores, in 2010. Yeah, and I mean, look, it seems like this is a pastime for him. I would check everywhere he's been and see if he has a history of people going missing around him. If this is n if he has 2, maybe we should look and see if he has 3, 4, 5, 6. I mean, I'm just saying, do we have like the big oh gosh, the guy in Malaysia, the bikini killer, do we have a budding serial killer? And now what you all have been waiting for, story time. So, last night, 2 of the boys, my 2 youngest, were talking about how we were gonna go to or how their oldest sister was starting to get college stuff in the mail, and they're like, "Do colleges have summer school?" And I said, "Well, yeah, you can go to summer school, if you wanna get through college quicker." And, you know, youngest son, Griffin, is like, "I hate school." And I said, "Well, not everyone has to go to college. You can go to a trade school, you can learn to do things with your hands. You can learn to be an electrician and, learn how to put sockets in." I don't know. I have no idea. He's Gumby. Oh, of course she did. I showed them pictures of how people are doing welding, and we looked on my computer and, like, see these people are doing welding, or how daddy, he puts the frame up and then you can put the sheetrock or the, drywall on it. That's a job that you can do. There's a lot of stuff that you can do and work with your hands. Working with your hands is really good. You can be outside, you can be active, you don't have to be inside if you don't want to. And we went on this whole long things of, things that you can do outside and skills you can have. And I thought we had had a really good conversation. And so this morning, as we're, on the drive, ready to go to our very Christian school, our very Christian, private school, Griffin, I hear the boys in the background, and, Griffin, my youngest, is like, "Yeah, yeah, Hand jobs sound so much better than college. I'm going to hand job school." And I was like, "No, no, that's not what it's called." And they're just talking back and forth. "Yeah, I'm gonna tell my teachers that we're going to hand job school. We're gonna do all the hand jobs." And I was like, "No, no, no, you're not. No, you're not going to do hand jobs. This is not how any of this works. Please do not tell your teachers you are going to do hand jobs. No, no, college sucks. We are gonna go learn to do hand jobs. No, no, you're not. No, you're not going to do no." And they're like, "But mom, you just said we should do hand jobs." No, what I did not what I said was work with your hand. Hand jobs and working with your hands are very different things. So, they're like, "Well, why can't we just say hand jobs? Hand jobs sound like so much more fun." And I'm just over here trying not to laugh hysterically, and I was like, I understand that, but we just say work with our hands. It sounds better." So I am 999% sure I am going to get a call from the school that both of my boys would like to do hand jobs instead of go to college. And I'm going to have to explain that what had happened was I was trying to be a good parent, and what I told them was to work with their hands, and what they heard was give good hand jobs. And it never happens, when you have a and it's never when you have a long time to just, like and Griffin being my youngest, chaotic neutral shifting to chaotic, evil, realizes that I'm deeply uncomfortable and, just like, "I think we should just say hand jobs." And and I was like, "Do not say that at school. Do not say that at school. That is not how you say that, and you will get in trouble if you say that." And he's like, "I just don't get what the problem is." And I was like, "Because they're different things, and you don't say that, and it's just not nice." And he's like, "Well, then what is a hand job?" And I was like, "I don't have time to tell you what that is right now." And he said, "Well, fine, I will ask dad when I get home." And I said, "You know what? You do that. You ask your father when he gets home why you can't tell your teacher that you're going to do hand jobs after high school. That sounds like a perfect question for your father." I was like, why do I even try? Because we had a good talk. The boys were like, "Oh my gosh, that looks cool. I get to work with, welding, which is basically, burning stuff, or wiring, and it's just basically burning stuff." I mean, you know, yeah, I'm pretty sure this will live in infamy from now on. Y yes, I think yes. And I was just here because you can't laugh, because if you laugh, then they realize it's funny, but they don't know why, but they will want you to laugh, and it was just probably or I was dead. I haven't even texted Mr. Mo because I don't even know. I was like, "Oh, for the love of all that is holy," 'cause they were just so excited, and in their little heads, they were just like, "Yeah, high school." And listening to the conversation, I was trying not to render myself hysterical, laugh, crying, so that I could impart upon them the wisdom of not saying that in their uber Christian school. And all I could think was, "Oh my god, I have to tell chat, or I have to tell people this, because only me, only my children, I have to why did this how?" I get a dog that can't sleep on the bed, and I get instead of this lovely thing where I thought we had communicated this lovely idea, and then the youngest, most the ferals decide to think of it as, it's not work with your hand, it's hand jobs. And I'm like, "Okay, I give up. I give up. Parenting does not come with instructions. It it is it is basically Tommy Boy and a weird game of broken telephone." But I figured if it made me laugh, it'll make you guys laugh, and I'll probably be getting a call from the school. So, I will see you guys in just a little bit to be with Nick, and we will be going over, the Jody stream. It is Jody Tuesday, and then this afternoon, we will start with the defense case. Well, yeah, they were just being economical with their words. Yeah, it really it's just too many words. I I I can't. Oh my gosh. I l well, I love the child innocence of it, but all I could think is, "Oh, dear Lord, why? Why, Lord? Why are you testing me? You know how smart ass I am." Uh, I am not quite sure, probably around whenever Jody ends. Or I might do Boy in the Box this weekend, I don't know. Everyone is starting to get the walking crud around here that comes around in the fall, so I've got 2 kids with a walking crud, and I'm not saying that this house becomes the plague house, but usually it travels all through us, so it may be one of those weeks, I don't know. So I will see. We will see what we see. But I will talk to you guys in a little bit. I will see you with Jody, and have a wonderful rest of your day. If I don't see you until then, I will be here for nightly newsy news, hopefully not a call from the school where I have to explain hand jobs. Because I only cosplay as a Pentecostal with my skirts. But we will see you in a little bit. Bye, guys.